Maya worked 3 jobs just to scrape together $847 every single week for her mother's cancer treatment. On that rainy Tuesday night at 2 a.m., she had no idea that helping a stranded millionaire would change everything. But when tech mogul Alexander Knight spotted the cheap promise ring on her finger, what he did next shocked everyone, including himself. What happens when desperation meets opportunity, and kindness collides with cold business? You won't believe how this story ends. Maya's alarm buzzed at 4:30 a.m., just like every other morning for the past 8 months. Her body ached from yesterday's triple shift, but she rolled out of her narrow twin bed anyway. The studio apartment's heater had broken again, and her breath formed small clouds in the frigid Chicago air. She grabbed the same worn jeans and Pete's Diner t-shirt from the floor. 3 outfits. That's all she owned now. Everything else had been sold to pay for Mom's experimental cancer treatment. $847 per week. That's what it cost to keep her mother alive. Maya worked the morning shift at Pete's Diner, cleaned downtown offices in the afternoon, and tutored kids online until midnight. She walked everywhere to save bus fare. She ate the leftover fries customers didn't finish. She hadn't bought new clothes in 10 months. But her mother was still breathing. That's all that mattered. "Maya, honey, you look exhausted," her mom Sarah whispered from the hospital bed during Maya's lunch break visit. At 54, Sarah had been a vibrant elementary school teacher before stage 3 breast cancer invaded their lives. Now she looked fragile, almost transparent. "I'm fine, Mom. The treatment's working. Dr. Martinez said your numbers improved." Maya forced a smile, adjusting the cheap promise ring on her finger, the only reminder of her ex-boyfriend Jake, who disappeared the moment her mother got sick. That ring represented everything she'd lost. But somehow she couldn't take it off. By 2 a.m., Maya was dragging herself out of Pete's Diner after the late shift. The October rain hammered Chicago's empty streets, turning everything into a cold, gray blur. She pulled her thin jacket tighter and started the 8-block walk home. That's when she saw it. A pristine red 1967 Mustang sat on the side of Monroe Street, hood up, steam rising from the engine like a dragon breathing in the rain. A man in an expensive suit stood beside it, completely soaked, staring at his phone with obvious frustration. Most people walked past without a glance. Maya almost did too. But her father's voice echoed in her memory, "Never leave someone stranded, Maya. That's how we were raised." She approached slowly. "Need help? I know cars." The man looked up and Maya's breath caught. He was probably in his early 30s, with sharp cheekbones and intense dark eyes that held something broken beneath their surface. His suit probably cost more than Maya made in a month. His shoes, now ruined by the rain, looked like Italian leather. He glanced at her diner uniform and reached for his wallet. "Here's $20. "Thanks, but I'll handle this." Maya's pride flared. "Keep your money. I was trying to help." She turned to leave, but guilt pulled her back. Her father had been a mechanic before the workplace accident that killed him. He'd taught her everything about engines before she turned 16. "Look, I'm sorry," the man called out. Most people who stop want something. My ex-fiancé taught me that lesson the hard way." There was real pain in his voice. Maya studied his face, exhaustion, frustration, and something deeper. Loneliness that money couldn't fix. Against her better judgment, she walked back to the car. "Radiator hose burst," she diagnosed after a quick look under the hood. "I can patch it temporarily, but you'll need a real repair tomorrow." She pulled the hair tie from her ponytail and grabbed electrical tape from her work bag. She always carried it for quick fixes around the diner. Within 10 minutes she had the Mustang running again. The man stared at her with something like amazement. Where did you learn that?" "My dad. He was a mechanic before he died." Maya wiped her hands on her jeans. "This'll get you home, but seriously, garage tomorrow or it'll blow again." "I'm Alexander Knight." He extended his hand. "I owe you big time." Maya shook it briefly. "Maya-chin. Just drive safe." She started walking away again, but Alexander called out. "Wait, can I get your number? For car emergencies." Maya hesitated, then pulled out her phone, cracked screen, overdue payment notice glowing on the display. "I don't think we travel in the same circles." Alexander studied her tired face, her thin frame, the exhaustion she couldn't hide. "What if I told you I need a personal assistant? $2,000 a week." Maya almost laughed. "Right. Look, I don't need pity charity." "It's not charity." Alexander pulled out his business card. "Alexander Knight, CEO of Technova Industries. I just lost my assistant to a competitor, and I have the biggest investor meeting of my life in 3 weeks. I need someone organized, trustworthy, and clearly capable of fixing problems. Maya stared at the business card. When she got home, she looked him up on her neighbor's Wi-Fi. Alexander Knight, 32, worth $850 million. Tech mogul whose father publicly disowned him for being too weak for business. Who built an empire to prove he was worthy of love, only to have his fiancée steal company secrets and leave him for his biggest rival. Real person. Real pain. Real company. $2,000 a week would cover her mother's treatment plus rent and food. But it seemed impossible. People like Alexander Knight didn't hire people like Maya Chen. What do you think Maya should do? Trust the stranger or walk away? The next morning, Maya sat across from Alexander in his gleaming downtown office, feeling completely out of place. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan. The furniture probably cost more than Maya's yearly income. The job is real, Alexander said, sliding a contract across his mahogany desk. 1-month trial. Administrative work, scheduling, travel coordination. Basic assistant duties. Maya scanned the contract. $2,000 per week for 4 weeks. $8,000 total. Enough for 2 months of her mother's treatment. There's one additional requirement, Alexander continued, his voice becoming colder, more distant. My investors are old-fashioned. They prefer working with family men. They think single CEOs are unpredictable, too focused on profit. Maya looked up from the contract. What does that have to do with me? I need a girlfriend for the investor dinner. Just one evening. Smile, laugh at my jokes, play the part. There's a $5,000 bonus for that performance. The words hit Maya like a slap. You want to rent a girlfriend? It's business. These investors control $500 million in funding. I need them to see stability. Alexander's mask was fully in place now, the wounded man from last night completely hidden. You need money. I need believability. Fair trade. Maya thought about her mother's next treatment, due in 2 weeks. She thought about the eviction notice tucked in her purse. She thought about how Jake had called her worthless before he left. Maybe this was all she was good for. Playing a part. 1 month, she said quietly. Then we're done. Alexander smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Welcome to Technova Industries, Maya. Within days, Maya's life transformed completely. Alexander's stylist gave her a $500 haircut and a wardrobe that cost more than Maya's car. She moved into the guest house behind Alexander's Lake Forest mansion. To maintain the illusion, he said. But the work was real. Maya organized Alexander's chaotic schedule, anticipated his needs, streamlined his entire operation. She was good at this. Really good. Late nights in the office, they talked about everything except their arrangement. Alexander shared stories about building his company from nothing, about his father's cruel words that still haunted him. Maya told him about her father's dreams of opening his own garage someday. You're different from what I expected, Alexander admitted one evening as they worked past midnight. What did you expect? Someone who wanted something from me? Everyone always wants something. His voice was soft, vulnerable. My father said I'd never inspire real loyalty. That people would only stay for what I could give them. Maya looked down at Jake's ring, still on her finger. Maybe some people stay because they see who you really are. Something shifted in Alexander's expression, but before he could respond, Maya's phone rang. Her mother's doctor. Complications with the treatment. Maya needed to leave immediately. Alexander drove her to the hospital himself, waited in the corridor while Maya held her mother's hand through another crisis. When Sarah stabilized, Maya found Alexander asleep in an uncomfortable plastic chair. You didn't have to stay, Maya whispered. Yes, I did, he said simply. That's when Maya realized she was falling for him. And that's when everything got complicated. Was Maya falling into the same trap that destroyed his last relationship? Jake showed up the next week, but that wasn't the worst part. Maya was leaving Alexander's office when she saw her ex-boyfriend leaning against her car in the parking garage. He looked exactly the same, cocky smile, designer knockoff clothes, that practiced charm that had once fooled her completely. Look at you, Jake said, eyes traveling over her new appearance. Someone's been playing dress-up with the rich boy. What do you want, Jake? I made a mistake leaving. I was scared about your mom, but I've grown up. We can make this work now. He gestured at her expensive clothes. Especially if you've got access to money like this. We could be a real team. Maya felt sick. You left when I needed you most. But look how well it worked out. You landed some rich sucker. We could milk this for years. There is no we. Maya tried to walk past him, but Jake grabbed her arm. Come on, Maya. You can't seriously think this guy cares about you. Guys like him use girls like us and throw us away. From across the garage, Alexander watched the entire exchange. What Maya didn't see was Alexander's assistant handing him a tablet with Chicago Tribune's gossip page pulled up. Tech mogul's mystery girl, gold digger or true love? The article featured a grainy photo of Maya entering Alexander's building, speculating about her humble background and suspicious timing. Someone had leaked the story. Someone who knew their arrangement. Alexander's face turned to stone as he watched Maya and Jake's intense conversation. In his mind, the pieces fell into place. Maya had been playing him all along. The car breakdown, the perfect timing, even Jake's convenient appearance, all of it orchestrated. That night, Alexander confronted her with ice in his voice. Interesting article in the Tribune today. Maya looked confused. What article? Don't play dumb. Someone leaked our arrangement to the press. Someone who knew all the details. Alexander's voice was deadly quiet. Was this part of your plan from the beginning? The car breakdown, the sob story, even your ex-boyfriend showing up right on schedule? Alexander, I don't know what you're talking about. Of course you don't. He pulled out his phone, showed her the article. Tell me, Maya, how much is he paying you to play the long con? Is Jake your partner or just your backup plan? Maya read the article, her face going pale. Someone had revealed everything. The contract, the fake relationship, even personal details about her mother's illness. I didn't do this, she whispered. Right. Just like you weren't planning to string me along while keeping your real boyfriend on the side. Alexander's walls were fully up now, his voice cutting. You know what? You're good. Really good. For a minute there, you almost had me believing you actually cared. I do care. Save it for someone who still believes in fairy tales. Alexander turned away. Just remember our contract. You're paid to perform at the investor dinner. Don't make me regret trusting you. Maya tried to explain, but Alexander had already shut down. The connection they'd built crumbled in minutes, poisoned by his assumption and her inability to prove her innocence. 3 days before the investor dinner, Maya made a decision. She took off Jake's ring and threw it in the trash. She'd realized something important. She wasn't the same broken girl who'd accepted scraps of affection. She deserved better than Jake's manipulation. She deserved better than Alexander's cruel accusations too. But when Alexander saw her bare finger, he misinterpreted everything again. Finally ready to commit to the performance? He asked mockingly. Don't worry. After Saturday night, you'll have enough money to disappear back to whatever scheme you and Jake are running. Maya's heart shattered completely. She'd removed the ring because she was ready to love someone who truly valued her. Instead, Alexander assumed she was deepening her con. That night, Maya sat alone in the guest house and broke down completely. All the months of exhaustion, all the pain of watching her mother suffer, all the humiliation of being treated like a commodity, it crashed over her at once. She called her mother, sobbing. Maybe I'm only valuable when I'm pretending to be someone else. Maybe Jake was right. Maybe this is all I'm worth. Baby, no, Sarah whispered. You are worth everything. Don't let anyone make you forget that. But the damage was done. The walls between Maya and Alexander grew higher. He became the cold, calculating CEO everyone warned her about. Maya retreated into professionalism, counting down the days until their contract ended and she could escape. Neither of them realized they were both being played by someone else entirely. Would you forgive him after words like that? Was it too late for love? The Peninsula Hotel ballroom glittered with Chicago's elite. Maya wore a midnight blue gown that probably cost more than most people's cars, her hair swept into an elegant updo. She looked like she belonged in this world, but inside she felt like a beautifully packaged lie. Remember, Alexander murmured as they approached the investor's table, his voice cold and professional. Laugh at my jokes, touch my arm occasionally, make them believe we're in love. One last performance. Maya nodded, her stomach churning. For the past hour, she'd played the perfect girlfriend despite the ice between them. Charming the investors, asking intelligent questions about their businesses, making Alexander look like a stable, family-oriented CEO. It was working. The men at the table were impressed, their wives liked her, and the $500 million deal was practically sealed. Then Vanessa walked in. Maya recognized Alexander's ex-fiancée immediately from the photos in his office. Tall, platinum blonde, wearing a dress that probably cost more than Maya's monthly rent. Vanessa had left Alexander for his biggest business rival 2 years ago, taking company secrets with her. Alex, darling. Vanessa glided over to their table, trailing behind one of the key investors. What a lovely surprise. Alexander's jaw tightened. Vanessa. I didn't know you'd be here. James invited me. Vanessa smiled at the investor beside her, her hand possessively on his arm. We've been getting to know each other. Maya watched the dynamics shift. Vanessa was here to sabotage the deal, and she had the perfect weapon. Maya's stomach dropped as she realized who had leaked the story to the Tribune. And who is this? Vanessa's gaze landed on Maya with predatory interest. Maya Chin, Alexander's girlfriend, Maya said, extending her hand. Vanessa's smile turned sharp. Chin. How interesting. You look so familiar. Haven't I seen you somewhere before? Maya's blood turned cold. She knew exactly where this was going. Oh wait. Vanessa's voice carried across the entire table, loud enough for neighboring tables to hear. You're the girl from that adorable little tabloid story. The one about Alexander's charitable dating choices. The table went silent. Every investor, every spouse, every person within earshot turned to stare. Maya felt her face burn with humiliation. Tell us, sweetheart, Vanessa continued, her voice dripping with false sympathy, how much is he paying you to play dress-up? I mean, we all know Alex doesn't actually date outside his tax bracket. Maya looked at Alexander, hoping he'd defend her, explain their connection, show these people that she mattered beyond money. Alexander said nothing. The silence stretched like a knife blade. Maya watched Alexander calculate his options. Defend the hired help and lose the deal, or stay silent and protect his business. He chose business. Again. Maya's background is irrelevant, Alexander finally said, his voice cold and professional. What matters is results. Not a defense. Not a declaration of feelings. Just business. Maya stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the marble floor. Excuse me. She walked out of the ballroom with as much dignity as she could manage, but she heard the whispers following her. Heard one investor say, smart move, Knight. Shows you can be ruthless when necessary. In the hotel bathroom, Maya stared at herself in the mirror. The expensive gown, the perfect makeup, the elegant jewelry, all of it was a costume hiding a girl who'd just been publicly humiliated by the man she loved. She grabbed her purse and left through the hotel's side exit. Alexander's car keys were inside. As his assistant, she had access to all his vehicles. She needed to get away, to think, to figure out how to survive this. The rain had started again, just like the night they met. Maya drove through Chicago's empty streets, tears blurring her vision. She should have known better. Should have protected her heart. Jake's cruel words echoed in her mind, guys like him use girls like us. She didn't see the curve until too late. The guardrail crumpled like paper. Alexander's Mustang spun twice before coming to rest in a ditch beside Lakeshore Drive. Maya's head struck the side window and everything went black. When she woke up in Northwestern Memorial Hospital, Alexander was sitting beside her bed, holding her purse. His face was ravaged, red eyes, stubble, the look of a man who'd been to hell. The car's totaled, he said quietly. But you're okay. Concussion, some bruising, nothing serious. Maya tried to sit up, but dizziness forced her back down. I'll pay for the damage. I don't care about the car. Alexander's voice cracked. Maya, I found this in your purse. He held up Jake's promise ring and a crumpled letter. Maya's heart stopped. You wrote this after Jake came to see you, Alexander continued, his voice breaking. I'm returning this ring because I finally understand my worth. I deserve someone who stays when life gets hard, who sees my value beyond what I can provide. I'm in love with someone else now, someone who makes me want to be brave. But I don't think he could ever love someone like me back. Alexander looked up, tears streaming down his face. Someone like you? Maya, you're the strongest, kindest, most genuine person I've ever met. And I destroyed you because I was too scared to believe someone could love me without wanting something in return. Maya turned away. You chose your reputation. I choose my self-worth. We're done. I know I failed you, Alexander whispered. But Maya, I love you. And I'm going to spend every day proving that I've changed. Maya closed her eyes. You can keep your millions, Alexander. I want someone who shows up when it's hard. Will Alexander get a chance to make this right? Do second chances even work? Alexander lost everything. $500 million in funding gone. His board called emergency meetings. Business blogs speculated about Technova's collapse. Alexander's stock price dropped 23% in 2 days. But he didn't care. He sat outside Maya's hospital room and made phone calls that shocked everyone who knew him. Vanessa, this is Alexander. That stunt you pulled at the peninsula? I've just sent James Hartwell the evidence that you leaked our proprietary information to the Tribune and your new boyfriend. Corporate espionage is a federal crime. Enjoy explaining that to the FBI. Maya heard every word from her hospital bed, amazed by the steel in Alexander's voice. His next call was to his lawyer. I want to set up an anonymous charitable foundation immediately. Healthcare scholarships for single mothers. Start with 10 million. And make sure Maya Chen's mother has access to any experimental treatments she needs for life. Alexander, you don't have to. Yes, I do. He looked at Maya with desperate sincerity. I have more money than I can spend in 3 lifetimes. If I can't use it to protect the woman I love and her mother, what's the point of any of it? But Maya wasn't ready to forgive. When she was discharged, she refused Alexander's help. Instead, she took a job as head mechanic at Prestige Motors, a luxury car dealership on the north side. Her reputation for fixing impossible problems had spread through Chicago's wealthy circles. Maya was brilliant with engines. Within weeks, she was managing the entire service department, earning respect through skill rather than charity. Alexander brought his cars to her shop. All of them. Every vintage Mustang, every rare Ferrari, every vehicle he owned suddenly needed Maya's expert attention. Your oil's fine, Maya said one afternoon, looking under the hood of his 1969 Camaro. You were just here yesterday. Maybe I just wanted to see you, Alexander admitted. Maya wiped her hands on her coveralls, not looking at him. Alexander, you don't get to hurt me and then pretend we're friends. I know. But I'm not pretending anything. He leaned against the workbench. I fired my entire board. I ended partnerships with anyone who made comments about your background. I've restructured Technova around treating people with dignity instead of profit margins. Maya looked up, surprised. Why? Because you were right. Actions matter more than words. Alexander's voice was quiet, humble. I've been thinking about that night we met. You helped a stranger in the rain because that's who you are. I want to be someone worthy of that kindness. Over the following months, Maya watched Alexander's transformation from a distance. He visited her mother regularly, not as Maya's former employer, but as someone who genuinely cared about Sarah's recovery. He funded a mechanic training program at the local community college in her father's name. He donated millions to families struggling with medical bills. He's changed, Sarah told Maya during one of their visits. That boy is fighting for you in every way he knows how. He chose his business over defending me, Mom. That tells me who he really is. Baby, sometimes people make terrible mistakes when they're scared. The question is, what do they do to make it right? Maya's wall started to crack. One evening, as Maya was closing up the shop, she heard the familiar rumble of Alexander's Mustang. The same car she'd fixed that rainy night 8 months ago. But something was different. The engine sounded rougher, more desperate. He got out slowly and Maya's breath caught. Alexander looked exhausted, defeated. Gone was the polished CEO. In his place stood a man who'd lost everything that once defined him. This might be the last time I bother you, he said quietly. I know you don't owe me anything. But I needed to tell you something. Maya crossed her arms, waiting. I've lost $500 million. My company's hemorrhaging talent. Half my business relationships are destroyed. Alexander's voice was steady, but Maya could see his hands shaking. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Alexander. Let me finish. Please. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something that made Maya's heart stop. It was her old promise ring, Jake's ring, but it had been completely transformed. The cheap metal had been melted down and reformed into a delicate necklace pendant, embedded with a small, perfect diamond. I had this made from your old ring, Alexander said, his voice breaking. Not because I want to replace it, but because I want to transform what it meant. This represents your pain becoming your power. Your past becoming your strength. Maya stared at the necklace, tears threatening to fall. I spent my whole life building walls, Alexander continued, protecting myself from people who wanted my money instead of me. But somewhere along the way, I became exactly what I hated. Someone who saw people as transactions instead of human beings. Maya felt her resolve wavering. You changed me, Alexander said, then slowly, deliberately, sank to his knees right there in her garage. Not because you tried to, but because you showed me what real strength looks like. What real love looks like. Maya gasped. Around them, her mechanics had stopped working, watching this powerful man humble himself completely. I don't deserve your forgiveness, Alexander said from his knees, tears streaming down his face. But Maya, I love you. Not as my employee, not as a performance, but as the woman who makes me want to be worthy of her every single day. Maya stared down at this man who'd lost millions defending her honor, who'd changed his entire life trying to prove his love, who was now kneeling before her in front of everyone. "Stand up," Maya whispered. Alexander rose slowly, hope and fear warring in his eyes. "I don't know if I can trust you again," Maya said quietly. "Then let me earn it," Alexander replied. "However long it takes. No more contracts. No more conditions. If you want me, it has to be because you choose me, not because you need anything from me." Maya looked at this man who'd lost everything and found himself. She thought about her father's words. Everyone deserves a second chance to do right. "One dinner," she said finally. "Just us. No business, no performance. Just two people figuring out if they can trust each other again." Alexander's smile was brighter than every light in Chicago. "Just us." But Maya held up her hand. "And Alexander? I'm paying for dinner. If we do this, it's as equals." "Wouldn't have it any other way," he said softly. "Do you think some people really can change? Have you ever gotten a second chance you didn't deserve?" 6 months later, Maya owned the most successful vintage car restoration shop in Chicago. Chin Automotive occupied a converted warehouse in Lincoln Park, employing 15 people and boasting a 6-month waiting list. Maya had earned her success through skill, determination, and the kind of reputation money couldn't buy. Her mother's cancer was in complete remission. Sarah had returned to teaching and now led a support group for families facing medical crises. The anonymous foundation that paid for her treatment had helped hundreds of other families too. Maya still didn't know Alexander was behind it, though she suspected. Every Tuesday, Alexander brought his 1967 Mustang to Maya's shop for maintenance. The car ran perfectly, but Maya never commented on the unnecessary visits. She looked forward to them more than she cared to admit. Their relationship had rebuilt slowly, carefully. Coffee conversations that lasted hours. Quiet dinners where they talked about dreams and fears. Alexander attended her mother's birthday party. Maya cheered from the audience when Alexander gave a speech about ethical business practices. Trust grew in small moments. Alexander never pressuring her for more. Maya learning to believe in his transformation. Both of them healing from wounds they'd inflicted on each other. "Your engine sounds perfect," Maya said, closing the Mustang's hood on a warm April afternoon. "Same as last Tuesday and the Tuesday before that." Alexander leaned against the car watching Maya work. She'd grown even more beautiful over the months, confident in her success, radiant with purpose, wearing the transformed ring as a necklace that caught the light when she moved. "Maybe I just like spending time with you," he said. Maya wiped her hands on a rag, meeting his eyes directly. "Alexander, I know we're taking things slow. I respect that completely. But Maya, I need you to know something." Alexander's voice was gentle but sure. "I'm not waiting for you to forgive me anymore. I'm not waiting for you to love me back. I'm just grateful to be in your life in whatever way you'll allow." Maya looked up, surprised by the peace in his voice. "You saved me," Alexander continued. "Not just that night with the car but every day since. You showed me what real success looks like, building something meaningful, helping people, being someone others can depend on." Maya felt her heart racing. "What are you saying?" Alexander stepped closer, careful not to crowd her. "I'm saying I love you, Maya Chin. I love your strength, your incredible mind, the way you light up when you solve a difficult problem. I love that you see the best in people even when they don't deserve it." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "Alexander, I'm not asking for anything," he said quickly. "I just needed you to know. You deserve to be loved completely, honestly, without conditions or contracts. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day, especially when it's hard." Maya stared at this man who'd lost everything to prove his love, who'd rebuilt himself from the ground up to become worthy of her trust. The garage fell silent except for the distant hum of Chicago traffic. Maya thought about trust, about second chances, about the difference between the scared girl who'd accepted scraps and the confident woman she'd become. "Would you like to get dinner?" Alexander asked softly. Not as friends, not as business associates. As a man asking a woman he loves on a real date. Maya touched the necklace at her throat, her pain transformed into something beautiful, her past reforged into strength. "Yes," she said simply. Alexander's smile could have powered the entire city. As they walked toward his car together, Maya realized something profound. She was complete on her own now. Strong enough to love without losing herself. Brave enough to choose love on her own terms. And for the first time in her life, She was choosing someone who'd proven himself worthy of that choice. What do you think happens next? Type forever if you believe in second chances, or careful if Maya should still take it slow. Have you ever found love when you least expected it? Share this story with someone who needs hope that people really can change. To heart. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more tales about transformation, second chances, and discovering that real love is always worth the risk. What would you do in Maya's situation? Let us know in the comments below.